Hi. Um, let's take a look at our fourth study here in the really short book of Jude. We're going to read verses 12 to 16. So let's take a look at it here. I have copied it into a Word document. And 12 to 16, he says, when these people eat with you in your fellowship meals, commemorating the Lord's love, they're like dangerous reefs that can shipwreck you. They're like shameless shepherds who care only for themselves. They're like clouds blowing over the land without giving any rain. They're like trees in autumn that are doubly dead, for they bear no fruit and they've been pulled up by the roots. They're like wild waves of the sea, churning up the foam of their shameful deeds. They're like wandering stars, doomed forever to blackest darkness. Enoch, who lived in the 7th generation after Adam, prophesied about these people. He said, listen, the Lord is coming with countless thousands of his holy ones to execute judgment on the people of the world. He will convict every person of all the ungodly things that they've done and for all the insults that ungodly sinners have spoken against him. These people are grumblers and complaining, living only to satisfy their desires. They brag loudly about themselves and they flatter others to get what they want. So here in this section, we start off with two sets of three. There are 6 comparisons at the very start. There's 1, there's 2, there's 3, there's 4, there's 5, and there's 6. Okay, now we get the comparisons here in the word like. Like, they're like clouds, they're like trees, they're like wild waves of the sea, and they're like wandering stars. If you look at what they're like, let's drop down here. If you look at what they're like in the comparisons, there are 2 things that stand out. They are like dangerous reefs that can shipwreck you. So they can destroy you. Secondly, they're shameless shepherds who care only for themselves. They're like clouds blowing over the land without giving any rain. They're like trees in autumn that are doubly dead. First, they bear no fruit. And second, they've been pulled up by the roots. They are themselves dead. They're like wild waves of the sea. All you get is the foam. They're like wandering stars. It gives no light. They are doomed to blackest darkness. So first, they can destroy you, and second, they only take and they give nothing back. That's what the comparisons are about. And there are 6 of them, 2 sets of 3. Then Jude quotes the book of Enoch. Now, we've mentioned the book of Enoch before. I have here the Old Testament pseudepigrapha. And in the Old Testament pseudepigrapha, here is what we find. First of all, Jude says, Enoch, who lived in the 7th generation after Adam. In the book of 1st Enoch, chapter 60, verse 8, the writer says, well, let's see. We'll start to read in verse 7 so you catch it all. On that day, two monsters will be parted. One monster, a female named Leviathan, in order to dwell in the abyss of the ocean over the fountains of waters, and the other, a male called Behemoth. You remember Leviathan and Behemoth from the book of Job? Well, here Behemoth holds his chest in an invisible desert, whose name is Dundayan, east of the Garden of Eden, wherein the elect and the righteous ones dwell, wherein my grandfather was taken, the seventh from Adam, the first man whom the Lord of the spirits created. Enoch is named as the seventh from Adam. And then in Enoch chapter 93, verse 3, Enoch says, I was born the seventh during the first week. So Enoch is the seventh generation after Adam. And he prophesied about these people. Now, here is the content of his prophecy. The Lord is coming with countless thousands of his holy ones to execute judgment on the people of the world. He will convict every person of all the ungodly things they've done, for all the insults that ungodly sinners have spoken against them. Let me read you Enoch, 1 Enoch, chapter 1, verse 9. Behold, he will arrive with 10 million of his holy ones. Catch that, countless thousands of his holy ones, in order to execute judgment on them all. He will destroy the wicked ones and censure all flesh on account of everything they have done. Here in Jude, he will convict every person of all the ungodly things they have done. That which the sinners and the wicked ones committed against him, and for all the insults that ungodly sinners have spoken against him. This is a quote from 1 Enoch, the first chapter, the 9th verse. Notice again, Jude does not say this is scripture. He is simply recounting what exists in a book that apparently they knew. Jude quotes it and says, even that book that you know says that God is coming to judge them. Then he finishes saying, why these people are dangerous. They're dangerous because, first of all, they grumble and complain. They live only to satisfy themselves. They brag loudly about themselves. And then finally, they flatter others to get what they want. So here Jude simply talks about the false teachers, the heretics. They can destroy you. They only take, they never give. They grumble and complain. They live only to satisfy themselves. They brag about themselves, and they flatter others to get what they want. Now, by doing this, Jude hopes he's identified who he is talking about adequately. He then goes on to say what his recipients need to do about this. Next week, we'll come back and we'll finish the book of Jude, verses 17 to 25, where Jude talks about what you need to do about these heretics. See you next week.